which had already been held in Accra, Kumasi, Tamale, and Takoradi before reaching Koforidua. And that'll be all for the class news here on CTV, Ghana's #1. For more news, log on to classfmonline.com. I am Zita Okwen. Good morning.
CTV, Ghana's #1.
Excellent furnishing in a real estate business is a great deal for survival. My struggles as a young estate developer were cut short when I discovered Fernart Ghana. With quality furniture made from the finest woods and amazing after-sale service, Fernart Ghana changed my story with every single home I built. It's a one-stop shop that serves the interests of clients with a variety of living room and dining sets, solid wood kitchen installations, wardrobes, doors, cabinets, beds, pergolas, floor parquets, and many other wooden products that will last a lifetime. With Fernart Ghana, all clients' smile on their faces says it all. Thanks to Fernart, now your home can look beautiful with furniture that would last for generations. Visit Fernart Ghana today and share my story. Locate us at Yaniba Estate, Osu, Accra, or call 0303 966 085 or 055 278 4097. Think wood, think Fernart.
Looking for the truth in the big news stories, eager to separate the wheat from the chaff of the week. Facts of the Week is the program that separates the news from the fake, the substance from the clatter, and the true voice from the noise. Presented by the brainy, bold, and beautiful multi-award-winning news anchor, Bettina Oferifiye. Facts of the Week airs every Friday evening from 6:30 to 7:30 right here on CTV, Ghana's #1. We're streaming on Facebook and YouTube at my CTV GH. We find if we seek on Facts of the Week. Facts of the Week, your trusted source for verified news.
It's party time on Modern Affair. Obaapa. As I introduce to you Safari Zoom Flex live on Ghana's #1. With Zoom Flex, you can join the fun wherever you find yourself via Zoomer. Ella, don't shake the body. God, it's Friday. Of course, time is 10 p.m. sharp on Ghana's #1 with the man them DJ Last Week Official. We say Obaapa.
Give me the move, give me the vibe, give me the move, give me the vibe, give me the move, give me
OFM Heritage Month Youth Discovery. Shinya wonaye yada vadohe. Ashenya monkwakwo na miapa komajasukwao la miapa no tuama. Ba wacho de wupo no tatao afia to hajiji hakpanya gboglo speech alogbata shinana bla debate ma. Miada amadeke de kerekelemo na nyamada kaha atanwa tiekpo wona share aje gomacho pajingu aton shinya match pankaka adan agbe awunu le ƒe dziŋua ƒe ŋkeke blatɔ̃ de ke agbe le ƒe kple blavevɔ atɔ̃a si nye míaƒe Ghana dukɔa ƒe dzigbeɣleti. Aleke na hafi nye gomekpɔ la hatsotsoa nye eƒe ewo yi 14 kple eƒe 15 yi 19 tɔwokoe nye be Navajo FM ava tsɔ fɔm le wo sukua ƒe ŋkɔme femahie ɖo ŋkɔdzi be tso primary yi senior high school ye gomekpɔla ɖe sia ɖea mawɔ wɔna ɖeke si awu woame eve o. Hena numekɔkɔ aɖea yɔ 0598937645. Ho FM Heritage Month Youth Discovery, discovering and celebrating the talents of our youth.
The discerning audience, the knowledgeable, the stylish, and the classy get together to enjoy Master of the Game. Master of the Game brings you distinguished personalities, leaders, achievers, captains of industry, innovators, masterful storytellers, creatives, and entertainers, all hosted by a Master of the Game.
His Royal Blackness, KKD,
the finest.
Catch Master of the Game on CTV. Oh yes, nuggets of inspiration and delightful treats for your enjoyment. Whether you love power, money, beauty, or fame, there is so much to learn from Master of the Game. Only in the place to be. The coolest channel, CTV.
This Monday on Master of the Game with the paragon of media and culture excellence, His Royal Blackness KKD the finest. Meet Dr. Obaapa Anda, renowned physician to a distinguished former president, leading expert in nutrition and medicine, and lover of all things classy and beautiful. 10 a.m. to 12 noon, don't miss the conversation on purpose, health, wellness, nutrition, live and exclusive on CTV, Ghana's #1. Plus 91.3 FM on Facebook and YouTube at my CTVGH and classfmonline.com. KKD is here. Happiness is near. I love this.
Hello, hardworking traders of Ghana. I've got terrific news for you. If you have goods to sell, shop, market, or online, call Beautiful Betty or Handsome Kojo Asari on 0245-929-220. That's 0245-929-220, and we will help you sell faster to more customers. Customer. See and hear the adverts on CTV, Ghana's #1, and buy at good prices. CTV and all our radio networks across Ghana is helping traders connect to customers here, there, and everywhere. To sell your goods to more customers, call Beautiful Betty or Handsome Kojo on 0245-929-220. That's 0245-929-220. Class Media Group. We help traders sell to more customers. The discerning audience, the knowledgeable, the stylish, and the classy get together to enjoy Master of the Game. Master of the Game brings you distinguished personalities, leaders, achievers, all hosted by a Master of the Game.
His Royal Blackness, KKD,
the finest.
Catch Master of the Game on CTV. Oh yes, nuggets of inspiration and delightful treats for your enjoyment. Whether you love power, money, beauty, or fame, there is the coolest channel. Master of the Game, the show on which we bring you the movers, shakers, icons, and legends of our beloved motherland Ghana. My name is Dakwa, Kwesi Che Dakwa, and today I'm delighted to be united with an adorable lady. She's one of a kind. She set a pace that will make it possible for so many young women to follow in the very near future. A general practitioner and a clinical nutritionist, this lady got invited to serve the president. What kind of audacity and competence must you have as a doctor to be invited to look after your president? Well, we're going to find out more about this adorable lady by the name of Dr. Obaapa Anda on this show right after this.
na chako sala no so nobody wash a white. My walk through the valley of the shadow of darkness and me with her. Now cause I'm foolish and shabbo I say musi uwa. No mama said me na shot to one side. Siga somebody na shot to ayo. Sister the woman no be a shoko. Big it fire every day can't quench you. Love your fancy no sad so. As I'm a mechanic down, God do ya me benya. If you finish more why advice, that you need to be a try tag life. This is a pipeline, I set pipelines. We be the boys who in those days where you feel that in me. Cycle school fees, every day the fee pay. The hard grace, the rat race, but the found grace.
If you've just joined us, welcome to Master of the Game on CTV, Ghana's #1. My guest today is a very delightful lady, a classy one, if I may say so myself. She is the one they call the President's Physician, and she's written a fantastic book which I think is essential reading for every statesman and every person who wants to be a statesman, as well as every doctor who serves a statesman. May I read a few words from the President? Amma is a natural chronicler with easy flow of language and a masterful eye for detail. These attributes make her a social team player. She is also...
Well, I launched it in 2014. I'd been writing it over the period after I finished... Well, I never finished the term of being a doctor, but after President Kufuor finished in 2008, I was encouraged by one consultant, Professor J.O.M. Pubi, of blessed memory. He's an uncle of mine. And he said to me, you have to put your experiences in a book, because it had never happened where a young female, he said, you must chronicle all these. So that's what encouraged me. So I started writing it. You know, writing is something you do over a period. And
so you're kind of diarizing.
Yes, I did that during my term. However, the actual writing took me a while. But I managed to finish it and launch it in 2014. at a ceremony which we held here in Accra.
At what point in President John Agyekum Kufuor's presidency did you actually start chronicling?
Well, initially I was his doctor, but not his official doctor, because he had an official doctor, but not his official doctor, because he had an official doctor. So we're friends of the family, and I'm sure we'll come to that. And so he picked me to look after him, but he had an official physician who was looking after him, Dr. Boama Mensah. I doffed my hat to him because he was my predecessor. And once he had to go back to school, he wanted to finish what he was doing, so he asked for permission. And then, so in 2004, I officially then took my role as President Kufuor's physician. And that is when I started from day one, trust me, because the way it even happened was a little...
To be the president's physician, how did it come about?
Well, two things. So the first thing was, or the first instance was, believe it or not, and you will understand this better, when you're creative, you tend to do so many other things apart from what you actually do for a living. So, yes, I'm a doctor, but I used to make shirts, clothes to sell, and which I was doing in Legon. So I said to myself, he's a friend of the family, like I said, and I said, look, let me just make a few shirts and go and give it to this tall, elegant looking gentleman. And so I spoke to my dad, and to cut a long story short, I made a few shirts and said, you know, I must go and give these to His Excellency the President. So Mr. Kodjon Piani, a good friend of my dad's as well, said, Amma, come along. These shirts are lovely. So I took them in, and when he saw me, he was like, are you a doctor or you are, you know, you're a fashion designer? I said, both. So we had a bit of a conversation, and one of his son had come back from the UK chief. So we sat and had a chat late into the night. And then after that, I went back and thought, okay, well, I've given him the shirts. I didn't think anything of it. But then there was the May 9th disaster. Remember the football issue? At the time, I was working in the Great Hospital, which is now the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. And I had sprained my ankle. And so this was not related at all to the disaster. I'd sprained my ankle prior to that and had been given days off. So I was at home. And then I heard about this, and they were calling all those who were on leave to come and assist because, of course, all the hospitals were so crowded with, you know, ill patients or patients who had been injured. So I went back to work, believe it or not, with my...
In the book it says, I had barely started setting up an intravenous line for a patient when we heard sirens. I assumed it was more ambulances arriving with patients. How wrong could I be? It was the President, His Excellency John Agyekum Kufuor, coming to visit the patients who were on admission at the hospital. Within the twinkle of an eye, this tall, calm, imposing figure walked into the ward. I yelled for my crutches and hobbled off to hide behind a wardrobe to avoid being captured by the numerous television cameras. But alas, the President, in his usual observant way, had noticed me doing the Houdini act and walked towards the wardrobe after chatting with the patients. He blurted out in his soothing baritone, Miss Bohene, are you one of the victims or a member of staff? Is that the day?
That's the day. So here I was thinking I was hiding away from him, you know, because, you know, he's very observant. So then he asked me, he said, what's happening? Are you, you know, what are you doing here? And I said, well, I work here. And he said, but you're holding these crutches. I said, yes, this injury was before all of this. And he said, and you mean you came from home to come and help? And I said, yes, because I'm working with my hands and not anything else, so I can sit and do some work. So he paused and he said, that's amazing. Of course, he went on to ask about my dad and everything. And I thought that was the end of it. What had happened and all my dedication, my commitment, because that's my first love. Medicine is my first love. I love what I do. So, yeah, And then afterwards, he called me. He asked me to be his physician because, like I said, and that was so odd because I said, you know, I'm a mother of, at the time, I had my little girls. I just had the second one, who in 2004 as well. Said, leave that to me. I will talk to them. So it was almost, that's it. You don't really have a say.
So he spoke to your husband himself and spoke to your dad?
No, well, he said that at the time, but he spoke to my dad for sure. And then I went and spoke to my husband. And surprisingly, my husband was very happy. And he said, out of all the doctors in Ghana, if you are being chosen to do this, that's amazing. So I think you should go for it. But it was a bit, because it was overwhelming, because of course I was breastfeeding, I had a little toddler at home. And my mom, bless her heart, my mom is still alive. And she said, Amma, just go for it and we'll take care of the family. So I said, that's great. So that's how it started.
This takes me to another page. Actually, chapter 1 of The President's Physician, Bumps on a Smoothie Road. The unthinkable happens. A woman doctor in her 30s? How many years qualified? Where does she come from? How on earth did she get this job? These were some of the questions on the lips of many when they discovered that President John Agyekum Kufuor had decided to appoint a female personal physician to take care of all his health issues.
Yes, well, I go on to say it was incredible and all of that because it had never happened in the history of this country. My age wasn't speaking for me, neither was my gender, but I obviously defied all odds, and when he picked me, I decided to take up the offer. And I'll say this for a joke, every time we met in events, we met with other heads of state or who were a little bit surprised that, of course, they will always say, oh, young lady, you must be his secretary, or you must be, and then I'll laugh and say, no, I'm actually his physician. And then they looked a little shocked, especially the older ones. And then they'll tease him and say, oh, you've gone for this young lady to look after you. And he said, yes, I need somebody young to look after me because with my pace, I don't want, and he'll laugh about it and say, I don't want an old man carrying a bag and not being able, because, at the time, that man's strides, when he's walking, you needed to keep up. And of course, he didn't used to sleep. He would be up all night writing his speeches. And you just needed the energy, the strength, and the wherewithal to be able to do it. So he picked me, and I'm hoping that I didn't disappoint. I didn't disappoint him. But it wasn't the norm.
But working for the president must come with some challenges. Because whilst you're keen on ensuring that he's in good health, he's fit as a fiddle, there is family who all say, oh, I wish you would do this that way, I wish you would do this way. Everybody gets that who has to look after somebody. Did you get some of that?
Well, not much of it, because I always say that you should set the pace right from the beginning. And that's what I did. And I set my own rules. And at the time, people thought, oh, was my father, bless his heart, he's passed away.
Was also a doctor.
A doctor, is a consultant pediatrician. He said to me, Amma, immediately you start seeing him differently. You've lost the battle. Go there and do your work. Those were his exact words. So I saw him as a patient, and I would normally not discuss patients' issues with the family, unless, of course, the patient has given me that permission. And this was even more so because of who he was. So I was very, very blessed in that way. There wasn't much family or friend interference. Of course, there were people who actually meant well and would say, oh, Amma, he looks so tired. Aren't you going to get him to go to bed? And I just calm them and say, we're working on it. He'll be fine. And you had to have that manner because, of course, they meant well. And I wouldn't be haughty and arrogant and say, oh, guess what, I know what I'm doing. No, I would listen, but it didn't mean I would necessarily act on what they had said I should do. And it worked for me for the period that I looked after him.
And what would there be? Doctor-patient privacy, but any doctor who has to look after anybody would occasionally get the, can I have this?
Listen, and he will do as I instructed. And that worked pretty well.
I must say, it's a privilege to serve a king or a president wherever you are in the world. Even the Bible talks about those who do their work, diligently. That means you had access to nearly everything you desired.
Yes, well, and you have to manage that access, because you can imagine people would try and want to use the benefits that you have or that privilege and say, oh, and I have that a few times.
Can you ask him
for this for me? People even offered me money. People offered me, but with the strict discipline and Presbyterian training that I had, and the path my father had charted for himself and for the family, there was no way that was always in the forefront of my mind.
I'm trying to get the president's ear on this. This envelope is for you. What do you do?
I reject it outright. And I did that on a couple of occasions. And I'm sure that the security bosses and everything would say they are still alive. They would say, I had a reputation to protect. And for me, the money is important, but that's not what it's all about. It's more to do with getting the work done. And after you've gotten the work done, you can hold your head up high.
So how do you feel when you hear of people in positions of authority who take bribe, pad their bills, or overspend in the full knowledge that they will be reimbursed? You chose not to do that.
Yes, what it was, of course, when you go to the hotels, you would know better, Kwesi. You have these mini bars where you have drinks in there.
Rule number one, never use the mini bar. Rule number one.
If you're paying for it, a lot of the time.
It's usually about 3 to 4 times the price.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
And then, of course, because of who we were, they would bring in probably a bottle of wine, a bottle of champagne, and you can call for room service. And the land knows London, and the landmark knows that the Marylebone station is directly opposite. And there's a Marks and Spencer M&S Food.
It's prime property.
So exactly, M&S Food. And I would ask myself, why would I buy a can of Fanta for X, or 10X or 5X? So I said to myself, no. So as soon as I put my stuff down, I'd go across the road and do my shopping, my grocery shopping with my biscuits and my tea and I'd go across the road and do my shopping, my grocery shopping with my biscuits and my tea and and for me, I felt a little guilty. I think it's just, again, back to upbringing and what is right and what is wrong. Of course, if you wake up in the middle of the night and you want a bottle of water and you don't have any, of course, not going to go across to M&S to go and buy a bottle of water. That is goes without saying.
To serve the president.
Well, that played a role, and I have no regrets. I always tell people I came from a privileged background. My father worked hard. He was a consultant pediatrician. My mother was a home science teacher, trained in the UK, and they worked very hard and gave us a pretty good life, good upbringing, moral and ethical values. So seeing that at an early age, because when I was in sixth form in the UK, I would go to Saudi Arabia to visit my dad, my mum, and we stayed in all this Red Sea Palace Hotel and Kaki Hotel in Jeddah and Riyadh. And so for me, it's not like I'm being arrogant but it just was not anything new. And but I still stuck with my values and said, no, if you can get it outside for cheaper, why pass it on to the taxpayer? So that's
Is it that people who have never had that kind of life think once they get into a position of authority, splurge because they are not paying for it, somebody else is?
I don't think that plays that's a factor. However, there are people who come from privileged backgrounds and still really don't care, and they would still splurge because they feel like it's available, so why not? So it's a bit of both. Your background, and there are people, again, on the other side of it, there are people who come from, not so privileged backgrounds, but just have that, they have those
greed.
Values.
Is it greed?
No, rather, they have those values and think, no, I think this is too expensive. Yeah. I mean, really shouldn't. So I think it's really your what you're made of and how you're brought up.
Upbringing.
Absolutely. And what your value system is like. But of course, coming from a background where you've seen it before.
Her childhood, her upbringing, her education, her friendships, and her very first job when she graduated from university right after this.
Excellent furnishing in a real estate business is a great deal for survival. My struggles as a young estate developer were cut short when I discovered Fernart Ghana. With quality furniture made from the finest woods and amazing after-sale service, Fernart Ghana changed my story with every single home I built. It's a one-stop shop that serves the interests of clients with a variety of living room and dining sets, solid wood kitchen installations, wardrobes, doors, cabinets, beds, pergolas, floor parquets, and many other wooden products that will last a lifetime. With Fernart Ghana, all clients are offered the opportunity to customize furniture to their specifications, and the smile on their faces says it all. Thanks to Fernart, now your home can look beautiful with furniture that would last for generations. Visit Fernart Ghana today and share my story. Locate us at Odehyeeba Estate, OMAN, Accra, or call 0303 966085 or 055 Excellent furnishing in a real estate business is a great deal for survival. My struggles as a young estate developer were cut short when I discovered Fernart Ghana. With quality furniture made from the finest woods and amazing after-sale service, Fernart Ghana changed my story with every single home I built. It's a one-stop shop that serves the interests of clients with a variety of living room and dining sets, solid wood kitchen installations, wardrobes, doors, cabinets, beds, pergolas, floor parquets, and many other wooden products that will last a lifetime. With Fernart Ghana, all clients are offered the opportunity to customize furniture to their specifications, and the smile on their faces says it all. Thanks to Fernart, now your home can look beautiful with furniture that would last for generations. Visit Fernart Ghana today and share my story. Locate us at Odehyeeba Estate, OMAN, Accra, or call 0303 966085